Thida twildet fl-1966 u hija tabiba, kittieba u attivista ta' drittijiet tal-bnedmin li tbatet il-ħabs minħabba l-prinċipji tagħha. Bħalissa hija l-editriċi ta' rivista li toħroġ fil-Myanmar, Burma, u ta' ġurnal li joħroġ kull 15 bl-isem ta' Info Digest. Taħdem bħala volontira fi klinika bla ħlas mmexxija minn għaqda mhux governattiva lokali. F'Ottubru tal-1993 inbatet 20 sena ħabs tal-li ipperikolat il-paċi pubblika, żammet kuntatt ma' organizzazzjonijiet illegali u qasmet letteratura illegali. Iżda fl-1999 inħelset minħabba raġunijiet ta' saħħa, iż-żieda fil-pressjoni politika u l-interess fil-każ tagħha ta' organizzazzjonijiet bħal Amnesty International u PAN International. Thida rebħet diversi premijiet internazzjonali għax-xogħol tagħha fil-qasam ta' drittijiet tal-bnedmin. Fosthom ir-Reebok Human Rights Award, il-PEN Barbara Goldsmith Freedom to Write Award, Freedom of Speech Award, Disturbing the Peace, Courageous Writer at Risk Award. Bejn l-2008 u l-2010, Thida għexet l-Istati Uniti bħala membru tal-proġett International Writers Project fi Brown University u Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Studies fl-Università ta' Harvard. Bejn l-2013 u l-2016 kienet l-ewwel President eletta ta' PEN Myanmar u f'Ottubru tal-2016 ġiet eletta bħala membru tal-Bord tal-PEN International. Thida se tkun qed tiġi intervistata minn Claire Zappardi. Thida.
Thank you. I feel honored to be here tonight. Thanks to Inizjamed. It's a privilege to be on stage with you. So, Thida, you come from a multi-ethnic background and grew up in military-ruled Myanmar. Was it an easy childhood? What was it like to grow up in Burma?
Well, you know, before I knew myself, and I was already under the socialist military regime, and I have been very mixed identity, half Shan, half Mon, half Chinese. So I'm really grateful to my parents, especially my father. He made us not feeling as second citizen. But because of them, I got chance to visit to some of my cousins in Shan State, Mon State. That's why I think my childhood is quite rich, understanding the situation inside the country apart from the capital city. That made my childhood a little bit different from the others. So I think that's why I started writing very early compared to the other writers.
So I quote now a little bit from your writing. In one of your short stories, which you have presented here in this festival, you write, 1990, Dr. Thida was born by myself. But I was slowly turning frail. My right hand was no longer developed, my tongue no longer fluent, my heart became boiled. My brain was no longer developed, my right hand no longer active, my tongue became burnt. Some parts of me were dead. I got the opportunity to attend the funeral of my body. Do you continuously feel fragmented? Who is Thida? Are you the surgeon, the writer, the activist? A little bit of all these three together, one more than the other?
Yeah, throughout the childhood, I was in a deep internal conflict of accepting myself as a woman or as a girl, something like that. But I think after having a serious vipassana meditation inside the prison, my life had changed, and I live at the present So most people, when they talk and ask me for advice, and I just say, be present. So I think I will be the one who is a surgeon while I was doing surgery. I'll be the one who is a writer while I'm doing writing.
And the activist.
Yes.
As well. And you wrote many short stories, many articles, hundreds, quite a number of books as well. Do you always write about the political or social situation in Myanmar?
One of my friends told me I'm a political animal, and I confess I'm so much interested in politics. That's why I couldn't escape from politics. But for my writing, political life or the social life of my country is, of course, it's in it, but I think I do write because I love my language a lot. I really love to play with vocabularies, the language, the presentation, the design, everything. I really do love people and the language. So I think for my writing, it's all, not just politics and social.
And Thida, you choose to write in Burmese, not English, even though your English is good and you were an ex-colony. Why is that? Why do you choose to write in Burmese?
Well, you know, my priority is my people, my society. That's why I think, of course, I do write in English without having enough confidence about my own English, but I also have a very high confidence about my own language. That's one thing. And then the other is I do love my people. And I always think I want to change my country. I want to change my society. That's why I have to write for them. So they are my very top people to deal with or to heal them.
And I agree. So Adrian will soon come up on stage and read a short bit from the roadmap. But before he comes, can you maybe tell us something about this documentary fiction, as you call it? Can you tell us about the style, the literary language that you use in this book?
Well, yeah, it was a fight between me and the publisher.
And this is the only one sorry for that, you wrote in English.
I wrote in English for the novel, yeah. So at that time, you know, I even requested not using my real name. It was first published under a pseudonym, and my publisher thought since it is all about Burma from 1988 to 2010, and she wanted me to put creative nonfiction. Mm-hmm. And I argued most of the stories in this book is true story, but I make it into a very different design. I fictionalize, so I prefer to call as documentary fiction. And it, you know, the military regime declared 7 steps roadmap to democracy for our country. And I made that book 7 chapters. And the title of the book is The Roadmap. In that 7 chapters, I made other subsections, and throughout the book, I really do demand cooperation from the readers. I always believe the creativity of writers it alone cannot walk. We do need the imaginative power from the readers. So that's why this book is really demanding, because readers need to follow who's telling you what story. Because it's kind of the series of monologue, and there will be no interaction between the characters, and there will be no name and no presentation about their appearance. So the readers need to keep following and imagining who's related to whom and how, something like that. But the last chapter is in second-person presentation. So now you have been, for the readers, you have been reading all the way and learning about the characters of the country, my country. And then at the end, you can be the traveler. On their toes, on their shoes, you could imagine if you were them, how will you respond? How will you keep going in this roadmap? So this is all about that book.
And Adrian will read a part from The Travelers now. And you will see how actually simple it is and how easy to follow this. Adrian can tell you more about it, for sure.
Ma nistax ninsa dakinhar li Mejmej bkiet il-ġurnata kollha. Għaltilna li l-fejfej taw 25 sena ħabs. Ma kienet xejn. Inna nanna ġewwanna biex joqogħdu magħna. In-nies ħarsu lejna bid-dwejjaq f'għajnejhom. Kienu qishom qegħdin il-funeral ta' xi ħadd. Noboda dik is-sensazzjoni, rid ngħidilhom jimporta? Jimporta ma toqgħodux tħarsu lejna hekk. Rid ngħidilhom fejfej għadu ħaj, naf li għadu ħaj u għadu jħobbna. Imma ma rnexxilix noħroġ kelma min ġoloqla fi Griżmejja. Nobodhom in-nies li jħarsu lejna bid-dwejjaq f'għajnejhom, nobodhom in-nies li ħaduli l-fejfej il-ħabs, nobodu l-fejfej. Il-fejfej li telaqna. Nobod li l-nifsi, għax minix kapaċi nejn l-familti u nobodhom dawn il-jem. Qatt ma nista' ninsihom. Imbagħad darba minnhom Mejmej tgħidilna li sejrin naraw lill-fejfej. Jien uħud is-subien iż-żgħar il-Monglej sentiru bil-ferħ. Nitlu fil-kamra ta' barra imma nejjew ħafna nistennew. Namlu aktar minn 5 sigħat hemmhekk. Imbagħad raġel ikraħ bl-uniformi jgħajjat isem fejfej. Jgħajjatlu bla ma jgħid u jew ko qabel ismu. Issa aħna mdorrin insejħu lil kulħadd bl-edukazzjoni skont jekk hux raġel jew mara, skont jekk hux anzjan jew żagħżugħ. Imma issa dan ir-raġel ikraħ isejjaħ lil fejfej bismu bla rispett ta' xejn. Ħut iż-żgħar il-Monglej jgħiduli dan kemmu pastas, oħt. Imissu jgħid dott qabel ma jgħid fejfej. Ma joġobniex hawnhekk. Hawnhekk maħmuċu jinten, ejja mmorru lura d-dar għandna l-ġuħ. Imma minflok Mejmej iddaħħalna f'kamra oħra, mudlama u maħmuġa tinten. Iż-żarnet jibda jibki. Il-kamla dram ċappa. Awriħa ta' ħut jinten. Qed jgħidu l-ismijiet tan-nies minn wara l-ħadit doppju. Kollha libsin omos bojot imdensin u longi. Għandhom xaru maqtuħ tad-daħ. Għalija jidru kollha l-istess. Ma nafx fejn qiegħed fejfej. Tami, tar, Mejmej, għaw qiegħed. Nissimgħu leħen fejfej. Indawru rasna lejn in-naħa minn fejn ġej dak il-leħen. Kif jaraw lil fejfej, ħut is-subien jibdew iwersqu. X'ġara tar? Issa hawn qiegħed fejfej, ħanini. Fejfej jibda jafas mal-ħajt tal-ħadid. Ma nistax naraħ sew imma naf li qatt ma rajtu daqshekk magħlub u abjad. Xaru qasir u gris issa, għajnejh m'għadhomx ileqqu, ma nistax inħadnu miegħi, ma nistax inkellmu. Le, m'intix fejfej, ejja mmorru d-dar. Ħut iż-żgħar jaqbdu l-idejja, Mejmej tibda tibki, fejfej ma jirnexxielu jgħid xejn, hawn wisq storbju fil-kamra. Hawn wisq nies jitkellmu f'salt u ma nista' nisma' xejn, ma nista' nara xejn, ma nista' nħoss xejn. Ninduna li fir-rokla t'isfel hemm toqba fil-ħadid. Jirnexxiel indaħħal sebej il-werrej minn ġol ħajt. Sadattant il-Monglej jarfu lil fejfej, erfani fejfej. Dak iż-żarnet dejjem irid lil fejfej jerfgħu dak. Tar tajjat miegħu Mejmej. Le Mejmej jgħidilha bil-mod ħafna fejfej, tibkix iżjed qalbi. Jekk tal-ġunta jintebħu li qed tolfoq, tkun qed tpaxxihom. Jaħsbu li l-istrateġija tagħhom qed taħdem. Tikxifx in-niket li għandek f'qalbek u li l-li ridna se tertaqhom jekk se tibqa' tibki bla waqfien. Irridu nagħmlu l-kuraġġ mejmej, speċjalment għal uliedna. F'salt wieħed il-qampjena storpjuża twaqqaf it-paċpiċ tan-nies. Sar il-ħin jgħajjat il-gwardjan. Naf li rridu noħorġu, nerġa' ndaħħal is-seba' l-werrej fix-xaq li sibt fil-ħajt tal-ħadid u ngħajjat b'kemm għandi saħħa. Missni fejfej, missni malajr jekk jogħġbok. Fejfej jidum tikka biex jinduna x'qed nitolbu. Imbagħad imiss it-tarf ta' sebej u jien inħalli lil ħut iż-żgħar imissulu idu huma wkoll. Ma nżul ix-xemx nitilqu mill-ħabs ta' insejn. Inżomm sebej il-werrej ta' idi l-lemenija fil-but. Dak il-kuntatt ħafif se nieħdu lura d-dar f'dak is-seba' qisni se nżomm lil fejfej miegħi.
Thank you.
You were sentenced to 20 years imprisonment because of your work with NLD, the opposition party led by Aung San Suu Kyi. So my question is, were you a good or a bad prisoner?
Everybody thought I was a bad prisoner. You know, I already made my own principle as soon as I was in prison, and I declared that I would request whatever I want to do, and if the authority didn't allow me to do what I want to do, I also don't allow them to do what they want to do. And we truly need the negotiation. Without negotiation, I couldn't accept anything. I will not obey their orders. I will not follow their instructions and so. So then I turned out to be a pretty bad prisoner, and I was critically ill, and I always keep asking and criticizing the authorities, and they thought it's too much. As a prisoner, I behaved quite bad, so I was a bad prisoner, but at the time I was critically ill, and I having 6 months consecutive fever. My body weight was only 80 pounds, and I couldn't get a proper treatment, proper medical treatment, even though I myself know how to treat. So at that time, it was really nearly a big fight, and I declared hunger strike, and it lasted only 45 minutes because they fulfilled my demands. And at that time, the prison officer, after our very serious discussions, he told me, Mediterrranju, you are free, but we are not. You are free in your thoughts and words, but we are not. So they thought I was a really bad prisoner.
What's kept you going then? How did you survive these five and a half years, right? And 6 days.
Yeah. You know, that was the Vipassana meditation. That meditation changed my life, saved my life, and it's my survival secret ever, you know. Before I was arrested, I always feel I committed a crime if I'm not reading any piece of writing. So
There you had no books.
Yeah. And in prison, we were not allowed to read nor write. No, nothing. So I ended up doing Vipassana meditation, and I think this is the meditation about awareness, mindfulness of ourselves. It's like reading ourselves, reading our bodies and minds, and that can relate to what's happening in the universe. So that's how I survive.
Now, Asia is going to read a little bit from one of her short stories in Croatian. And after that, we will listen to Thida read from her memoir. So those of you who want to read more about Thida's experience in prison, There are also books that you can buy from here, Prisoner of Conscience. She'll read a little bit in Burmese, and after that, Albert will read a bit in English as well. So Asia first.
...1993. Privremeno sam umrla. Pogreb moje kose. Slobodna kosa, uvijek bez repa, bila je svezana crnom trakicom za kosu. Pogreb mojih očiju. Obično raširene i dalekovide, oči su mogle vidjeti samo do trepavica. Pogreb mojih ušiju. Moje uši, koje su uvijek više voljele znanje i informacije od naušnica, bile su probušene neprestanim odzvanjanjem pitanja kako si. Pogreb mojih usta. Moja usta, koja više vole vrijedne i prave riječi od onih slatkih i ugodnih, zanimila su od običnog škrgutanja zubima i grickanja usnica. Pogreb moga grla. Moje grlo spremno da povrati jer ne želi da guta, bilo je progutano običajem upijanja povraćanja. Pogreb moje desne ruke. Moja desna ruka, koja je uvijek pokušavala zrcaliti tjelesnost uma i srca, bila je umorna od masiranja čela i vrata. Pogreb moje lijeve ruke. Moju lijevu ruku, koja je pokušavala pomoći starijim i mlađim, zarobilo je odmaranje na koljenu. Pogreb moga tijela. Moje tijelo koje je otvaralo grudi i penjalo se, prinudno je ležalo pritisnuto dolje, danju i noću. Pogreb mojih nogu. Moje noge, koje su pokušavale došetati do horizonta, bile su umorne od trčanja u krug.
Thank you.
Thank you, Asa. So Thida will be reading now from her book, Prisoner of Conscience.
ထောင်ထဲမှာအညစ်အကြေးကိစ္စကလည်းအတော်လေးစကားပြောသည်ကျမတို့အခန်းတွေမှာ12ပေပတ်လဲအမြင့်15ပေခန့်ဖြစ်ပြီးမြည်သည့်ရေစင်းပေါက်များမရှိဒီတော့သူတို့ကဇောက်တင်တင်စင့်စလားတွေကိုမျက်နှာတစ်ပကံစည်းစရာဇလုံးအဖြစ်၎င်းအခန်းကြီးငယ်စွန့်စရာအင်တုံအဖြစ်၎င်းပေးထားလေသည်ဒီမှာပြဿနာကအနံ့အသက်နှင့်ရေသုံးသည့်ပြဿနာပဲအနံ့အတွက်ကဓာတ်အိုးပုံးလိုမျိုးထားခွင့်ပေးတယ်လို့အိမ်ကလည်းကလေးတွေကိုအညစ်အကြေးတည်သည့်ပလတ်စတစ်သီးအိုးတွေကိုသင်းခွင့်ပေးသည်အဖုံးပါသည်မှုအများသုံးအိမ်သာစီသွားစွန့်ပေးမည်မိန်လာတန်ရှင်းရေးအကျဉ်းသူတွေကိုချက်ချင်းခေါ်မရသေးလင်တောင်နောက်တနေ့မနေ့ထိစောင့်ရတာတိတ်ကြီးတော့ပြဿနာမရှိပြဿနာကတန်ရှင်းရေးအညစ်အကြေးစွန့်ပြီးရေမြများသုံးတက်သောကျမအတွက်ဒီလိုဇောက်တိန်ဇလားနှင့်ကလေးသေးအိုးကမြည်သူမျှမလုံလောက်တခါဆက်ကူကလည်းသုံးခွင့်မရှိပြန်ဒီမှာကျမကတီထွင်ဖန်တီးရတော့သည်ဆရာဝန်ကိုဝါကွန်းလိတ်နှင့်ဒက်တော်ပူဆေးစာမှရေးပေးရန်တောင်းဆိုပြီးတွင်းထားလိုက်သည်နောက်တော့အညစ်အကြေးစွန့်ပြီးတိုင်းဒက်တော်ရည်ဆွတ်ထားသည့်ဂွန်းစာနှင့်တုတ်တင်ကလက်ကိုလည်းဒက်တော်ရည်နှင့်ဆေးပြီးအလုံးအပြီးမှထိုနေရာတစ်ဝိုက်ကိုဒက်တော်ရည်ဖြန်းသည့်အလေးကိုလှုပ်ဖြစ်ခဲ့သည်ဆိုရလျင်ယခုအချိန်မှပင်ထိုစဉ်ကလောက်မတန့်ရှင်းနိုင်တော့ထိုစဉ်ကတော့ပိုးတက်လိုက်သည်မြအဆင့်ဆင့်ကိုတက်လိုက်တာပင်ဝါကွန်းလိတ်ဤအသုံးဝင်ပုံကလည်းအညစ်အကြေးကိစ္စမှသာမကထောင်မှာခေါင်းအုံပေးမအုံသည့်အတွက်ကျမကထိုဝါကွန်းလိတ်ကိုမျက်နှာသုတ်ပွားကောက်ထဲမှာမှုတ်တုတ်တလူတွတ်ပြီးခေါင်းအုံလှုပ်ဖြစ်ခဲ့သည်ပြန်တွေးကြည့်တော့အင်းစိန်ထောင်မှာခေတ်သစ် Robinson Crusoe လှုပ်ဖြစ်ခဲ့သည့်အတိုင်းပဲညာရေးညတာမှလည်းလက်ဆေးစလားတဲ့ထပ်မဆေးချနိုင်လောက်အောင်ရေသုံးများသွားလျင်ကို့မှာရှိသည့်ပလတ်စတစ်စခက်ကြီးကြီးကိုပရင်းပေါက်ကစွနွေးမကင်တန်စကားကွက်မှာရေတယောက်လိုပုံစံပြောင်းလိတ်ထိုးပြီးရေစိုးတွေကိုခွက်ညစ်နှင့်ခတ်ကာအခန်းပြင်ကိုတွန်ပြစ်ရသည်ဒီလိုနှင့်12ပေပတ်လေထဲမှာကဘာဦးလူသားတွေလိုအသက်ဆက်ဖို့တီထွင်ကြံစပြီးရှင်သန်နေပြစ်ခဲ့ကြပေသည်
Thank you. Albert?
Having to deal with my personal waste was a big deal. There was no toilet or drainage hole in our 12 by 12 foot cell. We were each given 2 water pots, one for drinking and one for general washing, kept filled by different water carriers, as well as 2 glazed earthenware basins, one to discard water after washing our faces and our dishes, and another for relieving ourselves. The reek from it was a problem, but we were allowed to bring in a cover for it, or to legally bring in plastic commodes with lids, so it was bearable. The biggest problem was about my personal hygiene. We were not allowed to use tissues after the toilet, and I normally use a lot of water to clean myself, but neither the glazed earthenware basin nor the commode was anywhere near big enough. So I asked the doctor to write a prescription for a roll of cotton wool and a bottle of Dettol antiseptic lotion, not only to clean myself with, but also to sterilize the area around the waste basin. In this way, with several applications of Dettol each day, I kept my cell clean. The cotton roll was useful not only for cleaning, but also for other reasons. We were not allowed or given pillows, so I wrapped a spare roll in a towel to use as one. If I really thought about it, being an insane prison was like being a modern Robinson Crusoe. I rolled a sheet of plastic into a tube to use as a gutter. Some days, I might use a lot of water, and if the waste basin was near overflowing, I poured out the water through it. I managed to survive in that 12 by 12 foot cell like a Stone Age woman. Up to that point, I had not turned to religion more deeply than simply doing my everyday routines. Thinking like a writer, I was swimming fearlessly in my new experiences and gathering material for a book. The desire to become a writer still dominated my thoughts. Being a doctor also, I gave treatment to whoever needed it, and whenever possible. I was not concerned about getting along with the warden or guards, but about maintaining my principles. So I did not care when they criticized me. I had publicly stated my view that, according to a traditional saying, it did not matter if 10,000 sinners criticized you, because praise from one good person would erase it. And since jail is full of sinners, I did not have to take notice of any criticism there. In fact, I even feared being praised. As a result of this attitude, I had only Ma Chu to help me when I needed something. I gradually became an untouchable in the prison. But this untouchable was one who took refuge in the Buddha and the Buddha's Dharma. In fact, it was through the Buddha and his Dharma that I am still alive and living with peace of mind. Spider webs hung from the ceiling of my cell in thick clusters. Pigeons, sparrows, and crows came to the back window in search of food. There were different kinds of ants. Some were dark and tiny, and others were big and reddish. Ants were what I feared most during my imprisonment, as whole armies of them would march in if they smelled food. I only had a few plastic boxes and bags for storing my food, and these were placed in a corner on the floor where ants could easily invade them. The black ones could be found in the sugar bag, and the red ones in the curries, and nothing could be done to keep them away. Thus, I had to compromise with them by putting some food near a spot where they usually came out, so that they would not march any further into my realm. Although I did not feed pigeons, sparrows, or crows, I was providing regular meals for ants. Two other problems were bedbugs and the near foot-long greyish striped geckos. The wooden platform in my cell was only a few inches high, and bedbugs would take refuge in the cracks. I had to launch an elimination attack on them using both Dettol and camphor balls. The biggest shock I faced was when a gecko crawled into my cell through the window, before I had completed my anti-bedbug mission. Both the gecko and I were frightened out of our wits upon catching sight of each other. It ran amok around my cell, leaving its gummy mucus along its path, while I was jumping up and down on my bed with terror. After it escaped through the window, I was again attacked by bedbugs, so I could not even think about the hordes of mosquitoes trying to suck my blood. By then, I was quite used to having the red dots of their bites all over my body like a scattered tattoo, since we were not allowed to have mosquito nets. I was, however, able to avoid face-to-face meetings with occasional visitors like snails and centipedes. Fortunately, the fat field mice we often saw around our block could not come in, as the 4 exterior walls of our cell block were brick. Because of these guests, I could answer honestly when asked that no, I was not in solitary confinement. If I had to include the army of ants, the population in my cell would have been in the thousands. Also, I was able to communicate in some manner with the inmates from other cells, which was another factor that kept me from feeling isolated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last May, you gave a TEDx talk in Yangon, right? And you said that your society is grieving. And I quote, you said, "We are grieving because we are handicapped as a society. Many of our people live in the virtual world and not the real world." Now, that is a very strong statement. What made you put it that way?
Well, you know, we got independence from British in 1948, and the parliamentary democracy lasted around about 10 years. Since 1962, we did have the socialist regime, but it's so-called socialist regime. It is indeed a military regime. So since then, there was a very heavy censorship and very heavy propaganda, and the education systems was so poor. So that's make our society handicapped because of the limited access to the information, to the literature. Our people's information literacy, media literacy, literature literacy, everything is pretty poor. And since, because of the lack of freedom of expression, we really don't understand each other. We even don't know. I used to say our people don't know what they don't know. So we have more than 100 ethnic minorities, and we all overspreading all over the country. And we don't learn about each other enough. That's why we cannot understand each other. We cannot love each other that much. So that's why I think as a society, we ever live in a virtual world since we don't know what's really happening in our own community, our own society. That's why as a society, as a community, we are handicapped. That's why when the international community thought we are the people who are graceful under pressure, I feel when international community thought we did have a very non-bloodshed kind of the transition to democracy, it was not. We still having kind of the battle between ethnic armed forces and the state military. So we are grieving under glamour.
Are you optimistic? Because now the state councillor, Aung San Suu Kyi, is being criticized that she's not giving any voice, and there are still tensions between ethnic groups, and you coming from a multi-ethnic background. Do you see any hope?
Well, you know,
I used a big question.
I used to say, even during the military regime, I always cannot afford to lose my hope. But I think not only me, but also a lot of people, especially intellectual people in my country, started having the feeling of confusion. We having this pretty militant military regime for nearly 5 decades. So we always thinking of against it. We always thinking of fighting against it. And then we lost building our society. We have no chance. We didn't have any chance to build our society as we wish. Still, even the Aung San Suu Kyi became the state councillor, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Ministry of Water Affairs are directly under the control of Commander-in-Chief. So according to the 2008 Constitution, 25% parliamentarians are military officers. So a lot of authority are still under the direct control of military. That's why people started confusing whether are we already on the transition road to democracy or not, and whether how we should embrace this quasi-civilian government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. So it's pretty, we are still in the state of confusion or glooming.
And do writers write about it, or is it because of censorship and the long propaganda that you mentioned? Are they still afraid to write about these things nowadays?
Yeah, I think we still struggling from state censorship to either peer or self-censorship because of the very long-term lack of freedom of expression and heavy censorship. People think some of the issues as a taboo issue still, so that's why it's hard. So not many writers cannot escape from this. So, for example, like land confiscation by the army, it still cannot be seen in short stories or the novels easily, something like that. So that's why I say we are in the state of confusion.
But you don't lose hope, and you have a big project coming up. So this is my last question, Thida, because it's 5 past 11 already. 2 questions, actually. Tell us something about this new project, about this new dystopia city that you are. I know it's all up in your head at the moment, and it's not yet written, but I know you'll write about it. And you spoke a little bit about hope, and now I'm thinking a friend of mine, a colleague who's here, Emmanuel, and the poet, has recently publicly stated that he has lost hope in his country. Can you, Thida, tell us whether you will ever lose hope, or can you ever lose hope? And what's your novel about?
Well, I really cannot lose my hope, but I cannot say I have full of hope in these days. It's pretty hard for my country too. There's so many challenges. You know, a lot of people, we have a very clear visions against the military, but people are confused either to criticize the civilian government or not, something like that. So it's going on. That's why I think I truly want freedom of expressions to be established in my country, constitutionally, legally, individual, in the privacy level, or institutionally. We should guarantee freedom of expression. But at the same time, the creativity and, of course, literature and art, that's play very, very crucial role in terms of understanding the depth or the heart of the society. I think that's why, compared to the media or the news, I think literature is the key to understand the heart of the society. Literature can heal, not like the medicine can heal the patients, but literature can heal the society. So
you do both.
I try, yeah. And my new novel, it's going to be about a town, and that will reflect our state of confusion, or maybe even though we already been no more under the darkest threat, we cannot still see or foresee the future under the too bright light. So that will be the part of my book, future book.